Welcome back to the Freedom Equation, where I give you the numbers and the formula for achieving your financial future, destiny, whatever. So, today I want to talk about cars. I like cars. Cars are cool. I want to have a Lambo and a Ferrari, right? I wish I had, like some cool background of of a leased Ferrari, so you guys all thought I was cool, but I don't. Um, should you buy a new car? Should you lease a car? Should you take a bicycle? Should you keep putting money into that junker or hoopty that you have? It's a really tough question. And I don't know if I'm going to give everybody the answers that they're looking for, but I'm going to do my best. Depending on your situation, I could see all of those making sense. Should you buy a new car? Well, depends. Is it a status symbol that is needed for your industry? If you are trying to be a guru, motivational speaker, real estate agent, do you have to impress people? And again, I know, do you really have to? Do they really care? There is some degree of a wow factor of you rolling up in a new Rolls Royce, or a G-Wagon or whatever, right? So depends, but again, you kind of you got to have the money, right? There's no point in you leasing or buying or renting one of these cars if you really aren't about that. And what I mean that is if you don't have it in your bank account. I could go rent or lease a G-Wagon or maybe even a Ferrari, I don't know. But my bank account doesn't really reflect that lifestyle, so I'm not going to do that. But is there some cases where it makes sense? Sure. I think people like Dave Ramsey will say, hey, unless you can pay for it in cash and it's less, it's only, if you make $100,000 a year, you can only afford a $50,000 car, right? Like half of your yearly income, and you have to pay for it in cash. I don't really agree with that. I don't. It's not a terrible idea, right? Dave Ramsey's not wrong. It's not a terrible idea. Don't overspend, especially on a depreciating asset. If you don't know what that is, please go Google it right now. Okay, so depreciating assets are bad, right? Boats, cars, planes, all those things are depreciating assets, right? The more you use them, the less they are worth. So generally stay away from those, right? There's no, it's not going to help your net worth. It's just not. In fact, it's actually going to lower your net worth. So be very careful when you're messing around with cars. I will tell you what I do specifically, right? I don't need to impress anybody. I don't want to pull up to my rentals in a G-Wagon collecting rent from my tenants. I don't think that's that probably doesn't send the right message. Nor, when I'm wholesaling properties and I pull up to somebody's driveway and their house is very distressed. Probably don't want to pull up in a Lambo. Doesn't send the right message, right? So it's all very specific to the situation and to your perceived status. So I don't know if this is really making sense, but I kind of want to give you guys the understanding here that you can lease a car. Absolutely you can. Can you do that? Yes. Can you buy a brand new car? Yes. And take payments for 48, 72 months? Absolutely. But the more important thing that you need to understand is, does it make sense for you in your financial situation? So if you're broke, I would not recommend getting a new car. I wouldn't even recommend getting a new to you car, right? What I did when I was broke, and this may not even have been the best move, but I think it was an okay move. I bought a loaner car from a dealership. It was a $12,600 2017 Hyundai Elantra, which I still drive around today. I bought that in 2018. So if that tells you anything, right? It was a year old, so it already had depreciated some. In fact, I probably should have even gotten an older car. I should have gotten maybe a 2015 or 16 or 2015 or 14, right? Because the older it is, the more it has already depreciated. But I wanted something reliable. I wanted something that was fuel efficient, reliable. I didn't want to have to be going in and out of the shop all the time, repairing stuff. So I ended up getting that. And here it is, 2024. I still have that vehicle. I bought it when it had, I think, around 40,000 miles on it. Now it has 135. I haven't had any major problems with it. You know, obviously, I do my oil changes, transmission flushes, you know, changing the filters, you know, doing inspections occasionally. I've had to replace, you know, I don't know how to do it, I have no idea, but I've paid somebody to change the ignition coils and the spark plugs, you know, whatever that is, but apparently it was important. But other than that, surprisingly, it's been a really good car. And I'm not sponsored by them, Hyundai, or any other car brand or anything like that. Tesla, that would be really cool. I've always wanted to drive one of those. So shout out Elon. But I think if you're, and this is what I would guess, right? If you're looking up, should I buy a new car? If you're looking, you know, if you're watching my videos or other people's videos about, you know, wealth and you know, future asset building, legacy building, freedom, retirement, if you're watching those type of videos, I would say the right move for you is to probably keep the car you have, unless you are taking it to the shop multiple times a year, multiple times a month, and you're spending more on parts and labor, and you don't have your vehicle, so now you're having to Uber around or borrow a friend's. If that's the case, at some point, and here's another thing for you guys to look up, and this is more of a stock related term, but it is the sunk cost fallacy. So once you're already in the hole, like, I already put a new engine, I already did a new transmission, I already did all new tires and brakes and rotors and all that stuff. If you keep throwing money at something, you like, you know, stocks, right? You keep buying the dip, buy the dip. Maybe at some point, that's not a good move anymore, right? At some point, you can't diamond hands, you can't hodl forever. At some point, you do have to sell. At some point, you have to get rid of the car. At some point, it goes to the scrapyard and it's past its usable life, right? That happens with appliances. So that's why every time I buy a property, I try to put all new appliances in there, because I don't want the tenants calling me about problems with the appliances. So I just do new ones, you know, unless they're already really good. But most of the time when you're buying a property that has deferred maintenance and low rents, and you have an old seller that's just tired landlord, generally they don't have new appliances. They just keep using the crappy old ones that have been crappy and old forever. So that's the only time that I think, when you are building, when you are in the accumulation phase of your business, of your freedom, right? You do not want to be putting unnecessary money into a vehicle. It is not a good idea. It is a depreciating asset, and it is not doing you any favors. Pulling up to Starbucks in a $100,000 car is not cool. Pulling up to your multi-million-dollar business that you own because you built from scratch and you delayed gratification in a $100,000 or $200,000 or $500,000 car, cool, right? You know, actually, I don't know if I've told you guys this, but I'll tell you, I am actually from a trailer park. I am a trailer park kid, and I will be honest, I have never seen more cars, or I don't want to say nicer, but you know, like $30,000, $50,000, $60,000 cars in a trailer park. It is actually quite funny now that I look back at it and I say, why do these people have all these cars, right, in a trailer park? You know, it's because they're bad with money. It's because they're paying rent, they're paying a space rent, they're paying a mortgage, Now they have 1, 2, 3, 5 vehicles, and they're paying on all those, or they're crappy project cars that they're throwing money at because they're, fixing them up all the time. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. So my recommendation, unless you can really afford, and this is, and you'll know, right? I can't tell you. And I'm sure there's some amazing formula out there for it, but you would know if you can afford that vehicle and it does not make you toss and turn at night, if it isn't 10 times better than all of your coworkers, if it isn't just ridiculous, right? If you know you can make those payments without any hesitation, and you don't mind working longer for that, right? Because now you've taken your cash flow and you have decreased it by that payment. So now you're going to have to work longer, make more money to pay for that liability. Remember that. That's important. So if you don't mind that, go ahead, buy the new car. If you think you can afford it, if it makes sense, if it doesn't, put you in a really cash-strapped situation, go for it. However, my recommendation for people who are in the builder phase, like me, I think I'm still building, is to go get a new to you, used car. One that has, 50,000 or less miles, right? Yes, you're going to be over the manufacturer's warranty, unfortunately, but somewhere 50,000 and less, right? Where it still is rock solid. If there was any problems, it would have already been taken care of. They've been kind of broken in a little bit. Hopefully they've, checked the Carfax, they've had the oil changes, they've had the maintenance, the rotation of the tires, all that stuff. Obviously do your due diligence when you're buying a used vehicle. Buy it from somebody reputable, right? Don't buy it from those fly-by-night truck stop, pop-up tent, here today, gone tomorrow type of places, because you want to be able to take the car back if there's an issue. But just do what I did. Buy a car that's, a couple of years older, right? Since it's 2024 right now, go buy something that's 2020, 2021, 2022. And yes, I know there's this whole thing about used cars being about the same price as new cars. Just trust me, you'll be able to get a better deal. I believe dealerships have been sitting on this inventory, right? So they're like, we want the new cars in. They have to get rid of the old cars. So you'll get a better deal than if you buy a new car. Just trust me. Obviously do your own research, but I think that's generally how it goes. If it's used, you're gonna get a better deal. And then just take care of that thing. That's what I'm doing. Take care of it. Do all of the oil changes. Do all of the maintenance. Make sure that you go out of your way to make sure that thing is taken care of, because that is an asset. It helps you get to work. It helps you make money. And remember, the whole point is to make a bunch of money so you can buy your freedom back. With that, if you guys have any questions, please leave a comment. I will try to answer everybody. But the most important thing, you guys, is just remember, be frugal, save as much as you can, earn as much as you can, and get your financial freedom. Till next time, peace.